Hi, I'm Stedman Stahl. I'm the president of the South Florida Police Benevolent Association. This year, our 28th Gala was once again affected by the pandemic that's been sweeping the world. Although it has kept us from coming together and having our gala, it won't keep us from honoring the men and women that protect us day in and day out. The following videos you're getting ready to see are some of the heroic actions taken by a few, but keep in mind it's only a few. Every day, sacrifices are made by those willing to walk the thin blue line. We here at the South Florida PBA, we see you and we want to say thank you for what you do day in and day out. God willing, next year's gala will be back better and bigger than ever. But for today, we take care of each other. Watch out for the community and take pride in knowing we are here for our members. May God bless you and your families. Thank you.
Special Recognition Award. Miami-Dade Police Officer Elliot Scholes.
We became involved with the Ronald McDonald House, I'm going to say approximately 10 years ago, and they house the families and some of the children that are seeking treatment in the Jackson Memorial area. We do go and cook for the families. We do one meal a month. Twice a year we do a breakfast. And also we have once or twice a year we do baskets. These baskets contain toiletries and they contain soap, believe it or not, detergent for washing clothes and things of that nature, and the families love it. The moment we leave the dinner that we've completed that Saturday night, we are posting what we are going to do the next month. So automatically this is what we need. So if we're doing one of my favorite, which is an ice cream social, we do a pizza and we have ice cream, we have all the fixings for the kids, because these children need to know and remember that they're still children. They're going through a very difficult time medically, but they need to know that they're children. That's my number one question that people ask me, why do you do it? And I say, why not? That's my answer. And nobody's been able to tell me why not to do it. And we won't stop. There's a number of volunteers. We have a page on Facebook called Elliot and Friends, because one of my friends just named it. She says, you need a Facebook page, you need to organize this, and it's Elliot and Friends. My name and just literally all the other friends and family that do it. But during COVID, it's the first, believe it or not, the first day or the first month that we couldn't do it. It broke my heart, because there are families that have been there a year and a half, to be away from your household, to be away from your family, to your spouse, your other children, to take care of this. It's not easy. I cannot imagine what they're going through. So why not? Why not do it? It doesn't take but a few hours that night. For us, my wife and myself and my son, we planned it, like I said, 2 months in advance. But for them, it's just those 2 hours, it makes a difference. It's time well spent. For us, there's nothing more rewarding. Wherever I go, I will seek out a Ronald McDonald House or some type of volunteer program, because it's fulfilling. And it really is something that you give so little of your time, but it makes such a big difference in somebody else's life. As well, as a police officer, it doesn't matter if you're helping a senior person change a tire or consoling a victim of a crime. And then you go to the Ronald McDonald House on the weekend and you see families that you've seen there for months, and they are awaiting you. I've had them tell me flat out, oh, we're so glad that you're coming, and we're glad that you've been here. So we don't do it for the accolades, we don't do it for the glory, if you want to call it. We just do it to make sure that they're happy, and that what we're doing is, I could say, satisfying for them, because it sure is for us.
Correctional Officer of the Year. Corrections Officer William Glover.
My typical day is I work in the intake and release department, and when people come in with the officers, they bring them to us. We book them, get them processed, and ready for the next step. Our day is pretty much mug shots, fingerprinting, just security things. On that night, it was an average night, a normal amount of traffic. Just one person came in, He just seemed pretty odd. They're fresh off the streets. We don't know if they have weapons or anything. So we're security minded. We're cautious of everything because it's our safety, the officer's safety, and also the people around safety too. This one person, he just didn't seem right. He kept stressing the point that he didn't have anything on him. So that already drew my antennas up. So when I did my pat down, the alarm went off with the wand. It kept going off in this particular area. He kept moving, fidgeting around, saying that he didn't have anything. And when I touched the area, it was a gun. That's all I'm worried about. I wasn't shocked by who you say he was or nothing like that. Has nothing to do. We have celebrities come through those doors. We have all types of people, and they're gonna get searched the same way. We don't care who you are. You will not introduce that contraband into that facility. When I actually found the gun, just thought about like, what was his real intentions of getting that inside? Like, did he want to just go off and go on a rampage of shooting people? Or did he think he could hide it and keep it for his own protection just in case anybody tried to mess with him in jail? I don't know what he was thinking, and I was just happy that I found it, because that could have turned deadly. As a correction officer, this is one of the things I signed up for, to protect and serve my community in the best way I could.
Arthur E. Felton Investigative Excellence Award. Miami-Dade Police Department's Lieutenant Farrell Owens Jr., Sergeant Cecile Alvarez, Officer Darlene Cordero, Chevelin Moise, Intelligence Analyst Samuel Odie, Criminalist Jamie Bethel, Criminalist John Reddick, Officer Humberto Tabarez, Police Crime Analyst Yamil Rodriguez Cobas, Retired Detective William Nadramia, Homeland Special Agent Timothy Devine.
Arguably the most notorious serial rapist in this county's history was still at large, and we still had victims that were awaiting closure. This subject was extremely elusive and was, unfortunately good at his craft. I think the media ultimately coined him as the pillowcase rapist. This case, went dormant for decades. I put together an amazing group of investigators and established the investigative team that investigated this case. There were dozens of cases with a similar MO, whereas the same DNA profile was identified in each of those cases. And the MO essentially was where it appeared that the subject would study his targets. And they all met the same profile with regard to age and physical physique. He had his standard. He had his standard and his preference in targets in the women that he were going to assault. They were all single, young, professional women that were being violated, and he would enter their homes in the cover of darkness late at night when he knew that they would be least expecting anyone to enter their homes, and they would be awakened to a savage assault. I needed experts in every field. I needed an expert in forensics. I needed experts in surveillances. I needed experts in investigations, interviews, and interrogations. And ultimately, I was blessed to have access to each caveat within my own bureau, as well as our federal and state partners. This was in the early 1980s, so DNA was evidence, and the processing of DNA evidence was still relatively new. We were able to go back and utilize the evidence that we had collected nearly 40 years ago to identify this subject. We were able to collect surreptitious evidence from the target himself, to cross-examine that evidence with the evidence that we had collected from those crime scenes back in the 80s. And that's how we were able to get an affirmative confirmation that he was in fact our subject. We have made several of the victims aware that the subject has been taken into custody and will stand trial for the offenses. And the victims are certainly ecstatic and euphoric about that. Ultimately, that's what this is all about. It's about the service and bringing justice for those that have been violated. I'm extremely confident that we will put this guy away.
Kohler is the source of that male DNA that was found in so many of those pillowcase rapist cases.
He had excavated a little room underneath the floor of his house. That was very disturbing for the investigators to see. And we feared very much that had we not gotten him into custody, that he may have had other plans even worse than what he executed on all of these women from these cases.
I don't expect him to ever leave the prison. Obviously, we all are very, very excited that we were able to finally take this guy into custody. But I can tell you, we're not doing any victory laps or anything, tooting our own horn. We all look at it as a part of our job. That's what we're supposed to do. So, we're not doing, cartwheels over accomplishing what we're supposed to accomplish. This is what we do. This is what we were sworn to do, and the service that we swore to provide to the constituents of Miami-Dade County. So to us, it's a part of the job.
Rookie Police Officer of the Year. Key West Police Officer George Mayorga Lopez.
For me, Key West is a beautiful place to live in, and the weather is just amazing. It gets hot sometimes, but I enjoy it.
4-year-old child pulled from the pool.
I was dispatched to this incident where there was a child that was drowning. It was the first time that I have to respond to a call like this, and I was just 3 blocks away, and I just did a U-turn and I went to the hotel. I went to the pool, and the child was already out of the pool, and a lot of people were around the child trying to help, but they didn't know how to do it. Parents were crying. They were going through a lot of pain, and it was the scene was a lot to process. He was gasping for air when I got there, and shortly after he was not breathing and not responding. It was a lot of stress, but all the training and all the practices that we do as a law enforcement officer, it just kicked in, and I was able to do all the things that I was trained for. I did about 7 compressions, and he started throwing up and a lot of water coming out, and he was coming around and he was breathing again, and then rescue was there. I am very lucky, and I just feel grateful for everything. I have a better life and a better future, and because the opportunity that I'm here. I just wanted to give back to this community and this country that gave me so much. I am glad that I am making a difference, and I change people, their point of view, especially these days with all we have going on. So I am happy that I get to do that sometimes.
Officer of the Year. Miami-Dade Police Officer Christopher Fernandez.
I mean, it was like any typical other day. I mean, I know in this job nothing's ever typical, but it's average day. The actual buy bust happened in the parking garage, and once that took place and that was done, then we gathered a team up and we went upstairs to the actual apartment. We waited for the occupants of the apartment to exit. So once they opened the door to exit, the first one was taken into custody, and the second subject, which saw us, ran in. He was taken into custody inside of the apartment, and then there was a third subject, which ran back into the bedroom. At that point, like I said, everything happened so fast, so before I could even get that sentence out, I was already shot, and I saw the flash of the muzzle, the gun, everything. I saw his face. Everything was like almost like a still picture. And that's it. And after that, I was game on. There was an exchange. I remember everybody already starting to leave the apartment, so I said, this is my time to get out, because he had closed the door. I didn't know how bad I was hit. As soon as I left the apartment, I asked him, hey, how bad is it? And he goes, no, it's just the grays, but we have to go. So we jumped into the first green and white that we saw, and we went to JMH. I got shot in my ear. It went through my ear, and then it scalped me in the back. Pretty much just a burning. I knew I got shot. I felt my ear kind of like dangling. What bothered me the most wasn't so much my ear, was the stinging and burning behind my head. So all that I kept thinking was, how bad is it? I don't know if it actually went in, or the adrenaline is kicking so much that I just knew I had to fight until I could, get help. I was just happy that I was okay and everybody else was okay, and happy that I was able to fight back. That's what we train for. You know it's gonna happen one day, possibly, and that was just my day, and I was graced by God that it wasn't worse, and nobody else got hit any worse, and nobody else got hurt. And I try not to think about it, but I think about it every day.